Hey there, believers. I got another great episode for you today. This week, we are bringing back Texas Pete, not the hot sauce. Uh, Texas Pete. That's my buddy. It's Pete from Weird West, Texas. One, two, three, and four. It's Pete from What's Really Going On. This is Pete's sixth appearance, if I'm not mistaken, on the Bump podcast. So he's like an unofficial co-host. Uh, and he's probably been on here more times than my dad has. So that's great. I love having Pete on. He's a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of information and inspiration for me. So I just can't wait to get into what he had on his mind one more time. For now, we could go for 10. I love talking to him. He's welcome on this show anytime he wants to come on the show. Today though, he gave me a list of things he wants to make sure he covers. So we're going to get into a little bit of Bigfoot. All right, it's been a while. Let's get into it. Maybe some UFO talk. Maybe maybe what's going on with these Space Force patches? Have you guys seen those? It has like the Pharaoh head on it and stuff. Yeah. We might get into some spiritual connections to some things like demonic birds, some California desert Satanism, Jack Parsons opening portals kind of talk. Who knows? Who knows where this is going to go? I got a list, but we have never really stuck to a script. So I will bring Pete on shortly. Thank you guys for all the love and support with these kittens. Adoption Day, by the time you hear this, Adoption Day has come and gone. We took the kittens back to the shelter. Our time fostering is over. We were able to, through your help, and the help of a donor in the area, we were able to outright adopt 4 of these kittens. And I know they're going to a good home because I'm keeping all 4 of them. That's right. We went after 2, came home with 9, still keeping 4. So I don't know, but we're too soft. We love them. They're adorable. The other ones are going to go to great homes too. They're having an adoption like event soon, and there's some beautiful little cats going to go home with some anxious children. So that'll be great for them. So thank you guys for that. I'll keep posting pictures of kittens because who doesn't like cat videos and pictures, right? Um, all is well here. Thank the Lord. Um, I know we go through waves where it seems like there's a series of things coming in. There'll be a series of authors on the show, and then there'll be a series of discussions about deliverance and demonic warfare, spiritual warfare on the show, and then there'll be these waves of paranormal activity, haunted houses, paranormal investigators. We've had like a month or a month and a half straight of Bigfoot before, so this show is kind of like this particular episode is kind of like a marriage of all those things. It is the unexplained, monsters, and paranormal. So I love it. I love it. I love that you guys are here for it. It's summertime. There is no video for this one right now. This is going to be strictly an audio type um, episode because there's some renovations going on. There's some changes being made, and I want it to be a surprise all at once. I don't want to limp in with some sneak peeks quite yet. I'll do some before and afters, but just know that some things are changing in the studio. All right, with no further delay, I'll bring on Pete.
All right.
Do you see it on there yet, Pete?
Yeah. How's that?
All right. You're good. You're good. We're
Wow.
live, brother.
I finally did it right.
I
All right, brother. How are you?
am fantastic. I'm fantastic. I gave the audience a little pre-intro before you hopped on. I told them that we don't always stick to a script, but it's always a great conversation, and I'm gonna let you go with whatever you want to go with, and we'll just do this for round six, man. I told the audience too. We might wind up doing 10 episodes before this is over with, but I love that. I'm okay with it.
Okay, brother. Yeah, I sent you a list and I do tend to ramble, so when it's time to go, let me know and we'll pick it up next time.
All right, let's do it.
I'll tell you what, you've had some excellent, not that your guests before weren't good, but the last few, man, they've been so good. It leaves me wanting more.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate that. Yeah,
I want
there will be more. Some of these guests are going to be returning. So stuff like with
Okay.
Vicky Joy Anderson and
Yes.
Chakma, um,
Oh
they're
yeah.
going to be repeat guests. So
I'm glad you said that because those are the main two I had in mind. But let me get this out of the way real quick. We got hit by a tornado over here a week ago tonight. Today's Thursday, the 22nd, 2023 of June.
right.
And a week ago, a tornado came through here. It did not hit me directly. And I don't know if it's been on the news or not. Most people don't even know what happened, but yeah, it touched down in Panola County, Texas, and it rolled through eastbound to Caddo Parish, Louisiana.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it was a half mile wide. As far as I know, nobody died from the actual tornado, but in the week since, there's been deaths from the heat stroke.
Yeah.
And you were stationed at Barksdale, so you know what the heat and humidity is in this area.
Oh yeah, man. I'm very familiar with like Caddo Parish and yeah, that whole area.
Yeah, so I don't know as far as like if it hit any towns or whatever, but it definitely took out the power. And so I just wanted to start out real quick by saying my heart and gratitude goes out to there's crews from we're in the piney woods of East Texas, and there's crews from Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. All those areas were affected by this.
Yeah.
And then they had a cooperative compact mutual assistance agreement with other states. And so I want to say thank you to the people that are in Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky, and Appalachia Power. They came out here.
Amen.
And the last I heard, there's 3,000 men here working 14 to 16 hours per day in the heat, trying to get the power back on. We got our power back on at 5:48 p.m. Sunday, and it was pretty bad. Oh, I'm talking you could not escape the heat.
Oh, I
And
bet.
I got to tell you, my heart goes out. There's one of the guys that died. I don't know his name. 35-year-old guy from West Virginia, your state.
Yeah.
He died of heat stroke a couple days ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it gets real, man. And those guys, they're the backbones of America when disasters strike. You know.
yeah, and I'm sure when he came to help us, his family didn't know they weren't going to see him again. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, we'll be praying for
yeah,
comfort
I
for
just
his
wanted
family.
I wanted your listeners to pray for his family and pray for the
Absolutely.
people that don't have power still. We got ours back on, and it. I'll tell you what, there was a hidden blessing in that. My boys had no power and no Wi-Fi, and we spent we spent 3 days and nights in the dark just talking.
Hey, that is a blessing, ain't it? For
Yeah, no video
parents.
games and all that stuff they normally do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. That is.
But anyway, I just wanted to say that we're grateful and we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And okay, where should we start?
Well, let's
Uh,
see. Let's
okay,
see.
real quick, my son and Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I went back and heard Weird West Texas Part 4, and there was a time when we were in Bayfield, Colorado.
Yep.
That's the second night. Whenever I was sitting up and my wife saw me with the shotgun, if you remember, I didn't bother waking her up again because the reaction I'd gotten 2 nights before. You remember when she ignored me?
Yeah.
And that's also the night where she ended up hearing some stuff that later she looked it up and found out, oh, there's documented sightings in that area. But well, I was listening to it, and there's a pause there, the kind that my brother says are dramatic pauses.
You're right.
What? Okay, here's why I was pausing. Should I say this or not? My sons were 6 and 8 during that trip, and my 6-year-old, at the point in the interview where I said, "Yeah, come on, boys, we're going to, or come on, kids, we're going to bed." The part I didn't say is what she had said was, "Daddy's being a jerk, so we're going to bed." I wasn't being a jerk. I even laughed. Yeah, maybe I was obnoxious, but Anyway, the funny part is when she said it and they go to retire into the tent for the night, he looked at me as serious as can be. Oh, here's what the other thing she said. She goes, "We're going to bed, kids. Leave daddy out here. He's being a jerk. We're going to let Bigfoot get him."
Oh no.
Yeah, so they get ready to go to bed. And my 6-year-old looks at me as serious as can be. And he says, "And you better not tell him where we're at either." I said, Okay, son, that's what I'm going to do. If he comes to get me, I'm going to go, "Hey, Mr. Bigfoot, don't get me. My family's in that tent right there. Go get."
Right.
Anyway, we got a good laugh out of it. I thought I'd share that. I heard it again and I thought about, should I have told him that story? That was kind of funny.
That was cute.
Yeah, it was. Oh, the other thing I got to tell you about Dayton's encounter. Do you remember episode 3 involved the officers being killed in the line of duty?
Yes, sir.
And you remember Dayton? I told you one of the officer's best friends. He's the
Yep.
one that told us not to go into the line of fire. You know, I shared that episode with him after our talk, right? And then he shared something for me with me that I never knew. Do you remember me telling you that the night I came home, my wife had kind of a premonition dream?
Yes.
And it was on the day of the shooting, but it was the night before the shooting.
Uh-huh.
Well, what Dayton shared that I wanted to share with you is that same night he was taking an assault report at the emergency room of the hospital. And he told me that after he got the information and was sitting in the police car just writing the report, he looked up and saw a figure walking up behind him, behind his car. So he rolled he was keeping an eye on him, but he said that guy walked up and tapped on the window, the
Mm.
driver's side window. So he rolled it down. He described the guy as kind of scraggly looking. He thought it was a homeless guy. And the guy had like a full beard and mustache, scraggly long hair. And he was like, yes, sir, can I help you? And he looked over at him, and that guy goes, "You need to pray." And he goes, "Yes, sir, I will." He goes, I kind of dismissed him, wanted him to move on, leave me alone. I'm writing this
Right.
report. And the guy's like, "No." He goes, "Are you a man of God?" He goes, "Well, yes, sir." He goes, "You need to pray." He goes, he was real like stern, kind of rude. He goes, kind of insistent. And he goes, "Yes, sir, I will." And he said after that, the guy walked off in the direction he was headed towards the front of his car.
Mm.
Now, here's the thing, there was a wide open parking lot on the left. There was nothing but building on the right, the street, the sidewalk. He said when he looked back up, the guy wasn't there anymore. Eh, so he starts looking around like, where'd this guy go? He couldn't have got that far. He went that way. He's gone. And of course, now you know the rest of the story, the next evening and stuff. And he said that when things got tough for him, he remembered that. And he
Wow.
believes that was some type of messenger, whether, whatever you want to believe or what. But he said the guy disappeared.
Yes. That a messenger. That's a good way to put it. That's what the word angel means, right?
That's right. That's right. So,
Wow.
yeah, I did want to share that because I didn't find that out till after your episode aired.
Wow. That's amazing. I love stories about angelic encounters and um by the time this airs, you know, I'll have shared an episode about that. But just a couple of days ago, I spoke with a lady. A couple of days ago, from the time this is being recorded, I spoke with a lady from Alaska who had some very interesting stories that involve angels and messages and visions, and it's wonderful. I can't get enough of those kind of stories. I love to hear the good news. You know.
Yes, sir. I agree. Me too. Um, all right. I'm going to tell you a couple more West Texas stories.
Yes, sir.
All right. There was I heard this on another show years ago and I'd forgot about it. And what reminded me about this is the one I'll tell you right afterwards is the one, another story that one of my old sergeants told me when I was new. But um, this lady was one of those that her and her husband are a tandem truck driver crew.
Yep.
The husband would drive during the day while she slept, and she would drive during the night while he slept. And I heard her tell this story. She was on Interstate 10 between Fort Stockton, Texas, and El Paso, Texas. And she said one night her husband was in the back asleep. I don't remember if she was eastbound or westbound, but she was on Interstate 10, somewhere closer to Fort Stockton. And she said, next thing you know, this black bird landed on the passenger side of the 18 wheeler. And it was, they had some kind of floorboard or something that you step up into the cab with.
Yeah.
And the door had a little window down. For some reason, there was a little window, she described, down at the bottom corner that you could see out that way. And she said there's this black bird with red eyes. And she
Hmm.
said it was going crazy, flapping its wings and screeching and making noises. And she said when she would look at it, it would stop making the commotion and stare at her. And so she'd take her eyes off to put her eyes back on the road. And she said that bird would freak out and go off again. And the only way she could calm it down was by looking over at it. And when she would look over at it, it would stop making all that racket and flapping wings and doing stuff. It was a little black type foot tall bird with red eyes. And whatever it was doing, it was distracting her. And it wanted her to look at him, not at the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I heard that story, I thought, yeah, that's demonic. And it was trying to cause her to have a wreck, is what I think.
Yeah, you know it. That was some
Yeah.
kind of it's so weird. It's when you and I talk, it's always so relevant to like current situations and current thoughts I've been having. I've had on my mind a lot this last week or two about the reality of demonized animals. And I thought, it's even biblical, Jesus cast the demons into the swine.
Yeah.
So that tells you that demons can be inside of animals.
Right.
If not, they wouldn't have been. You know what I mean?
Right.
So so the thought of something like this bird being demonized to where it would even try to lure someone into harming themselves, that that's 100% like on on you know in reality to me. That's a very frightening thing, man, and that changes everything about like why do deer run out in front of cars.
Yeah.
um it I don't know. I just That's a very interesting story. I'm glad you shared that with me.
Yeah. And here's the other thing, too. It could be a demonized animal, or it could be a demon taking the form of an animal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm going to tell you this other story real quick, and this will tie into some of the stuff that's currently in the news.
Okay.
I old sergeant, and I don't know if I typed the wrong letter or what when I sent it to you, but I said the guy's name and I put SHT. That
Yeah.
that was supposed to be. I went back and saw it after the fact. It was supposed to be SGT for sergeant.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you had another if you had another vowel there, you might have thought I was calling him something else.
I thought the H was a slip, but I thought it was like Saint Pena's instead of Sergeant Pena's. So
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah. No, it was Sergeant Pena. Well, I'm glad you thought Saint. Yeah. No, he told me that back when he was 19 years old, he was stationed at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And back then, he lived in a small town in West Texas that was somewhere south of that area where Alpine and Marfa's at. You've heard of the Marfa Lights. We talked about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, somewhere down in that area. It's sparsely populated. And he said it was him and three other soldiers. They had that weekend off and they were headed back towards his hometown. This will be just south of Interstate 10, which is where I just told you that story with the bird. And he said that they saw this object come up behind them on the highway. Now, mind you, this is middle of the night and there's no towns out there, nothing. And he said this, whatever it was, came up over their vehicle. And as they were going down the road, it was keeping pace with them. And he said it was so huge that it lit up the desert. He said in every direction you looked in, it looked like daylight in the middle of the
Wow.
night. And this dude had a scared look on his face while he's telling me this. And now, mind you, at the time he's telling me this, he's by this point, he's probably in his early to mid 40s.
Right.
And I was a 19-year-old cadet at the police
Mm.
department. And he's telling me this. That's the age he was when it happened. And here this guy is now, 20 something years later. And I could see the fear in his eyes. And I said, "What'd y'all do?" He said, "We couldn't do anything. We just kept driving."
Oh my
And
gosh.
he said it followed them for miles. Just whatever it was above us, and the whole desert was lit up like daytime. He said any way you looked, the desert was lit up. And then eventually it shot off and disappeared. So the reason I bring that up is I've heard about this so-called whistleblower in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
That guy's not a whistleblower. During his testimony, he's even checked his notes and said that the NSA has told him what he can talk about or not talk about.
What?
That's not a real whistleblower. A real whistleblower will tell you the whole story. He won't tell you what's been approved ahead of time.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, forget that. That's not even convincing. I'll tell you something else. I saw the FBI agents that testified a couple weeks ago. Those guys were they didn't seem comfortable, Bo. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You're talking about something that's affected your life where they set out to try and ruin their lives and silence them. You're not going to get up there and act matter of fact and like, well, here's this and that. Oh, Mr. Funny and Giggly. You know what?
Yep.
Yeah, he's a plant. He's been put there to give us the little tidbits of the misinformation they want you to know.
Yep.
But do not call the man a whistleblower. If the NSA has to approve what you can testify to or not, that's not a whistleblower.
See, I didn't even know that. I have largely just ignored the whole thing because
I have
I don't
I
believe anything that comes out of the government anymore, man. You know,
I
nothing on the
don't either.
news.
No, I like to hear whistleblowers, but then I discern whether or not this is a real whistleblower or not. This guy's last name's Grouch or something. No, that's not. You're not a whistleblower. If they're telling you what you can say or not, you're not a whistleblower. A whistleblower will tell you the whole story.
Absolutely. I didn't know that he was getting. How does that even fall under the whistleblower to begin with? If he's getting permission to give man, that is a joke.
That is a joke, man. You don't even go find their permission. You're about here telling everything. Whatever, man. That's a joke. That's this whole system.
Yep.
Which we done last episode. We talked about that, but I will say this. That brings me to something else. This the Did you ever see the patches for Space Force?
Dude, I saw it's like Delta 19 or something like that. It had a pharaoh's head
Okay,
inside the.
you saw one of them then.
Yeah, that's the only one I've seen.
Okay, well, when they initially put them out there in the public, there was somewhere between 9 and 12 of them. I'm
Oh,
telling you, the whole thing was a cult.
really?
Yes, they at one patch had like a hydra looking creature with all the octopus legs kind of like around the earth.
Oh my gosh.
There was
Hey,
another one. There was another patch that had like a Bigfoot looking creature carrying like a bloody sword.
what?
Yeah, over the earth or something like that. Look, just I don't know if they're still up or not. Okay, just go on the internet and look for it.
I'm
I
going
never
to.
tell I never tell people to use the G word. That's part of the problem, so I don't endorse them.
Right.
But there's other search engines. I say check the internet.
There you go. Duck, duck, go. That's a good one.
That's one of the ones I use. Anyway, look up them patches. They're if they're still there, but every little thing, every one of those patches had some kind of occult symbolism in the patch. And I was thinking, what happened to the American eagle and our flag? What's up with that? What's all this occult crap?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this, man. And this is the second time